How do you do, y'all? This is John, and today we're talking about the Alto Knights, a new movie out in theaters right now. And in the Alto Knights, it deals with this gang rivalry between Frank Costello and Vito Genovese. These two gangsters who were once best friends had this intense rivalry in the 1950s that, at least unfortunately for the mafia, exposed organized crime in the US. These two, they're back and forth against each other. Everything eventually led to the FBI, the government, the news media, everybody finally having to admit that organized crime is here in America. And this movie essentially documents the whole, situation. Okay, so getting into it, first and foremost, I'm going to talk about what I liked about the movie before I get into what I don't like about the movie. And one of the big things that I like about the movie is, the whole premise of the film. This whole situation with the mafia, it being exposed, that whole scenario in history, that is perfect for a movie. I'm not kidding. It is perfect for a movie. And you can clearly tell that, the writer of the movie, I believe his name is Nicholas Pileggi, he was trying his best to tell a good historical gangster story. And on top of that, I do like the dynamic between Frank Costello and Vito Genovese. These two were real historical figures in mafia history. And, their whole relationship, it is every bit as interesting to learn about as it is tragic. Because like I said, they started off as the best of friends, when they were kids, and even into early adulthood. But once they joined the mafia, things changed for them. Especially when Costello, was given the rank of boss of all bosses, the highest position in the mafia, which is something Genovese wanted. So, these two once friends, downward trajectory into enemies, that whole event in history is as interesting as it is tragic. And I can't talk about these two without talking about Robert De Niro, who is the actor that portrays both of these characters. Robert De Niro has a dual role in the film. He not only plays Frank Costello, but also Vito Genovese. And to be quite honest, I do like their Barry Levinson's decision to have the same actor portray both characters. It's a way of saying they're one and the same, but they also live in different worlds. Costello, he's more of a diplomat, a politician among the mafia. Genovese, he's more of a maniac and more, greed-driven. He doesn't care as long as he makes money. That's essentially, who Vito Genovese was. And like I said, I like what, Barry Levinson did there, having the same actor portray them both. And Robert De Niro does a great job, undeniably. I just wish that, everything else was much better, because there are things I really liked about this film, but then you get into the nitty gritty with the film's execution and, pacing, and oh boy. First and foremost, I think that this movie probably would have been better if it was in different hands, because it really felt like the whole dual role performance thing that Barry Levinson came up with was the only good idea he had. Every other thing that he did, execution-wise, was very much typical gangster movie stuff. Heck, there's even this one sequence that when I was in there watching the movie, I was just like, Godfather. He took that from Godfather. When something that is that painfully obvious, you've made a mistake. I think that this movie would have been A lot better if it was in the hands of like Francis Ford Coppola or Martin Scorsese. Because execution-wise, Barry Levinson, he's made some good movies, but he just wasn't the right guy for the job. Now, also the movie's pacing. This is a 2-hour-long movie. It felt a lot longer than that. It felt longer than Killers of the Flower Moon felt. And that's saying a lot. Killers of the Flower Moon is a 3.5 hour long movie that felt like it was a little under 3 hours. This movie's a 2-hour movie that felt like it was 4 hours. Yeah, not kidding there. That should never happen. I'm not saying I don't mind a slower pace occasionally, like a quick 90-minute movie with a slightly slow pace. That's fine. As long as, I don't feel it. This is a 2-hour movie, and it felt twice as long. Now, is the movie at least able to overcome these faults and still be an investing, intriguing film, an interesting watch, an entertaining watch? No. This film, unfortunately, is not investing. It's not entertaining. The whole, execution issue and the pacing issue probably definitely had something to do with it. So no, unfortunately, the movie's not able to overcome its own issues. Its own issues hurt this movie badly. And that's a real shame because there is a good story in the film. The lead actor does a good job, especially in his dual roles. It's just it's not able to overcome poor execution, poor pacing, and this, unfortunately, is so bad that ultimately hurts the film's entertainment value. Now, it's not a terrible movie by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not a good one. I'm going to give the Alto Knights a 4. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Please look forward to more videos real soon. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Please also subscribe if you're new to the channel. And as always, please remember, the Britsky will return.